Hello. Wait, my phone. Okay. Hello. Hello, everyone. Just thought I would hop on stream for a little bit. Sort of decompressing is kind of a stressful day for a lot of people, including myself. I don't know. There's a lot of people streaming today, so shout outs to people that stopped by here. What's up, Dad Jokes? What's up, Gajor? I don't know if I said that. What's up, Zip Bang Crash? Are we cooked? Well, I mean, we've been cooked for a while, I think. The fact that this is even a thing that's happening right now, I think we're at least a little bit cooked. But I think we could be more or less cooked depending on what happens, for sure. But we'll see. I don't know. It's very early. This election probably will not even be like, we probably won't even know the results today, you know. Unless it's just like a huge blowout. That's like the only way that we'll really have it conclusive by the end of today. Because I don't know. I mean, I don't even want to even try to predict things because I'm not good at it. Is anybody good at it? I don't know. Like, some people make their living predicting elections, but it's like, it's just, you never know what's going to happen, really, right? But yeah, I also think there's no point in being pessimistic and, you know, just, it's, in general, it's not a good idea to worry about things that you can't control. Just figure out what you can do. Figure out like what happens, what has happened, and then figure out what you can do about it. But it's interesting to keep an eye on what's happening. But yeah, this kind of happens every time, where they kind of, a lot of the like very solid Republican and Democrat states come in very quickly. And I know there's some key counties that haven't come in for, like Florida and Georgia, which could really shake some things up. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people streaming right now. I hesitated to even get on stream because it's like I'm sure everyone has found a stream that they want to watch if they're if they're gonna watch, or people might be bouncing from stream to stream. I was even watching some streams myself, which I probably I'll probably stream for a couple hours and then get off. I'm not really trying to do this all night, but I'm sure some of the other people will be streaming, until everyone is asleep. But just wanted to chill, hang out for a little bit. We can talk about the election if you want, but we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. I've got the little graphic up so we can just somewhat keep track. This is just Google's reporting, and Google is using the Associated Press. And I feel like the Associated Press is they kind of wait until things are very solid before they call. It seems like they call things later than other platforms. An electron. I just got that joke. And it's kind of weird because when you see the electoral votes, you're kind of given it evokes a score in a contest or a game or a sport, if you're watching a football game and you see that the score is 23-3, you're like, man, it's going to be hard for them to catch up. But that's not really how it works, right? Because Harris is going to get California, Harris is going to get New York. So you really can't really do anything. You really can't assume anything by, following the votes or following the count like that. What do you think will happen if each candidate wins? I don't know. I mean, a lot of things will happen. I think it will say a lot about just where the country's at, especially with regards to Trump, because Trump is such an unusual and unique candidate in mostly in a bad way. And he's gotten just even, he's just gotten more bad over time. He literally kind of tried to coup the government, yet he still has a very decent chance of winning the presidential election. So it's interesting to see how people have reacted, because you hear people talk about Trump, you hear people debate, you hear supporters and detractors, but what really comes down to it is how are people going to vote at the end of the day. And then there's typical policy stuff, like Trump is probably going to continue to push for things that help rich people, and Harris is probably not going to do that. Whoever wins might have an opportunity to nominate a Supreme Court justice, which we have seen is a very big deal. And that's something that I didn't take as seriously as I probably should have in the past. Being able to nominate Supreme Court justices is a really big deal. But if it isn't clear, I'm supporting Harris, but that's how it goes. It's weird to me that this is even a contest, to be honest. What if Kamala wins? What do you think could change? Well, I mean, Joe Biden is the president right now, and I assume that Kamala is going to continue a lot of what Joe Biden has already done, and I feel like Joe Biden has been pretty fine as a president overall, and I don't see that changing. So I don't know if a whole lot is going to change. I mean, I think there's been an upward trend, and that upward trend will probably continue. So, I don't like Harris is not this super like radical candidate that's going to come in and just change everything and just, save the world. I don't expect that to happen. And you should neither, but I think, like I said, I think she'll probably just more or less continue the same track as Biden, which I think has been good, mostly good. So, or mostly okay. Obviously, there are some glaring issues there, for sure. The Democrats are, ubiquitously disappointing, for sure. But the Republicans are like lunatics, so I'll take disappointing over lunatic all day. First time voting for a presidential election. Awesome. Yeah, I remember my first election was 2004, and I voted for George W. Bush, and that probably wasn't the right choice. So, but 18-year-old's gonna 18-year-old. Got the map just updated. Did it update on my thing? Yeah, okay, cool. Texas came in blue. Is that normal? It says they've called Texas for Harris. If that's right, that's huge, right? Oh, they've called Florida for Trump, which was kind of expected, but there was a possibility. I guess they're saying she's leading in Texas. I don't know if they've... I'm not sure. Because I just Googled... I just Googled it and it says the AP has not called this race. But maybe it hasn't updated yet. Most of Europe usually would root for the Democrat, but these days I'm not so sure. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't have a good gauge of what Europe is thinking. I know there's a lot of conservatives in the UK at least, but I don't know about like Europe as a whole. I got money on Kamala. I told my friends, if you think Kamala's gonna win, you should vote, because the betting organizations have the odds for Trump, or at least last I checked, they have the odds in favor of Trump. So you can make some money if you think Kamala's gonna win. Love from UK, appreciate it. She's not a socialist, despite what Trump says. She was perhaps progressive before, but she's moved to the right to widen her umbrella. Well, she's of course not a socialist. If you're one of those people that's saying that Kamala is a socialist or communist, that's just kind of like a statement that like disqualifies you from the conversation, because it's obviously not true. But unfortunately, conservative propaganda can spread stuff like that, and people will just believe it unquestionably. But for me, like, I'm not really like trying to like debate people that much, but when I do have discussions with people, there's just like certain things that when you say it, I'm just like, oh, this is not a serious person. This person doesn't know what they're talking about, and I'm just I'm out at that point. And that's one of those things. Like, obviously, Kamala's not a socialist. And I don't know that she was ever that progressive. I mean, she's probably the most progressive. Either her or Biden have been the most progressive candidates we've had, but obviously that's not saying much at all. But yeah, I don't ever know that she was ever that progressive. But it is true that she's gotten a lot of support from Republicans or like former Trump supporters, and if she was super progressive, that probably would not be the case. Texas has 40 votes. Yeah, I was trying to remember how many votes. Is it 40? Yeah, it's just weird that it's blue. Wait, can I guess they're just saying that she's leading. That's kind of misleading. Don't do that. Google. How do I go up back? Yeah, mail-in ballots tend to lean blue. I think a lot of Trump voters refuse to do mail-in ballots just because Trump disparaged it and made kind of a big fuss about it in 2016. All right, Sven, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, this election was interesting for me because obviously those of you who have followed me for a while know that I kind of checked out of politics for a little while, but I started paying a little bit more attention as we got closer to election time. And I'm still not even sure if that was a good idea because I've just been more stressed out from following everything, and just like depending on what you're watching, it can really affect your mindset and your mood. Like, I've gone between being convinced that Kamala was going to win to being convinced that Trump is going to win, to where I'm at now, where I'm just like, let's just see what happens, I need to see. Is that okay? I get it now. I thought that you see, this is like dark blue. Dark blue means leads, but you see, like over here, this is light blue. That means that they've called it. I get it now. So like like this dark red means that Donald Trump is leading in Georgia, but they haven't called it yet. That might be hard to see. It might be too small on the screen, but So, for example, they've called Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Maryland for Kamala. Oh, see it now. It just switched to red. I see. Interesting. Okay. What's the count? It looks pretty close so far. Pennsylvania prediction. No idea. I cannot predict anything. Like I said, I've been kind of following it a lot more closely, and it just kind of depends on what you watch. Like I watched a video recently that would just convince me that Trump was going to win Pennsylvania, but then I saw some polling, the other day that was like maybe Kamala can win. So it's like, who knows what's going on, man? A lot of it just depends on who shows up to vote. Because you can go around and ask people their opinions and do polls and say, I like Trump, I like Kamala, but who is actually going to actually go vote? That's really the thing. Hey T1J, how are you? I haven't been here in a long time. I'm doing okay. I mean, it's a little stressful right now, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna be all right. I went out and voted earlier. It was a weird situation because I know like in some places the lines for voting are very long, but literally my polling place is literally across the street from where I live, and it literally took like 2 minutes to go vote, and it just felt weird that something that was so like impactful and will have so much of a impact on the future of this country was so easy to do. But I guess that's the beauty of voting. Cities push states blue until all the rural ones report. There's little polling at rural locations. Rural. I hate that word so much, but yeah. Yeah, I'm not even really sure how, because I think each platform has their own sort of methodology by which they call votes, because they don't all have the same count, and they don't all call states at the same time. Looks like they called Oklahoma for Trump, but I think that was expected. What are the states that we need to look out for? I know we're looking out for Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Okay. I'm gonna keep a lookout on those. Those are the ones that really matter, to be honest. Donald Trump wins in Alabama, of course, and Mississippi. 76% so far. Yeah, see, they call these, this is like 1% reporting, but they just call it because it's like he's going to win, and, he's got such a massive lead. Do they count my county? I live in Birmingham, and Birmingham usually is it's in a blue county, but it's one of the only blue counties. I voted for Jill Stein and the Mountain Party. Republicans crush here, though. So anxious about this election. Yeah, I think a lot of people are. Boulder, Colorado was the longest line I've ever had to stand in, and it was like maybe 30 minutes. I even had to register day of because they lost mine. Today took like 20 minutes or so, only like 10 people, but everyone did it so slowly. Yeah, I've heard of there being long lines, but I've never really had to deal with that. Maybe it's just because of like the neighborhood that I live in and my polling place, but this time was maybe the fastest I've ever had. Like, I was just in and out. It was very good. And I think a lot of that is just a testament to just how good the volunteers are and how down to a system they've got everything. That's why it sucks that they cast so much dispersion on the volunteers during Trump's election. So it was kind of a, you know, I don't like to bask in other people's misery, but it was very sort of cathartic that Rudy Giuliani basically had to give all his money to those poll workers because he like tried to basically lied about them and what's the word? Slander? Defame? I think it's defamation. But yeah. My district's so blue that we had 4 socialists on the ballot plus the Green Party. It is, some places like in cities with very few places have long lines, but those lines are usually before or after work. Lunch can be busy too. Yeah, that was part of it for me too. I went around like 3 p.m. when probably a lot of people were still at work. But I've honestly never had issues with lines. But it just depends where you live, you know. I live in a city, but I don't live in like a huge city like LA or Philadelphia or Seattle or something like that, you know. I was interested to see how the third party candidates were going to do. Because even though Jill Stein ran last time, I feel like no one talked about her at all. She got a little more exposure this time than last time, but it's still, you know, still not looking like she's really doing much. In 2016, she did pretty well. I think she got like 3% of the vote or something, which is quite good for a third party candidate. Kansas is called for Kamala. Oh no, that's not called. That's leading. I'm just waiting to see some of these swing states. It's probably gonna take like they're probably gonna wait to the last minute to call some of the swing states. As a Republican, but say I'm a small business Eisenhower Republican and push for free healthcare and small business grants given very easily. You know, we kind of don't know how spoiled we were to have Republicans in the past that only had like specific policy disagreements and weren't just like, you know, lunatics. Because if you tried to do that, you would, of course, never get the nomination from the Republican Party, because they've sort of been warped to this far right, proto-fascist, like evangelical Frankenstein, whatever the hell they're doing these days. Yeah, I have to remember that the dark blue does not mean that it's been called. This is confusing to me. I don't even know the point of telling me who's leading. Just tell me who wins. I don't care who's leading. Especially because certain states can be completely flipped just based on certain, like their most popular county, you know? I used to be a registered Republican because the GOP nomination is the most important election in the country. I could see that. I mean, I understand the argument for that for sure. The problem is, I mean, at least the way it seems, the problem is Trump, and all of the other Republican candidates, since Trump has been so successful, all the other Republican candidates are trying to do a weird impression of Trump, but obviously they're not as good at being Trump as Trump is. So Trump just destroys all of them. How's Kansas blue right now? Can't expect that. Yeah, we were confused because Texas was blue earlier too, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. But we'll see. Yeah, you can find pockets of blue, I think, pretty much in every state. I live in Alabama, and the county that I live in, Jefferson County, is generally a blue county. We have a Democratic representative, Terry Sewell, who is pretty cool. But unfortunately, everything else is pretty red. Vibing to the background music. Yeah, the music was made by my brother. I would like link you or give him a shout out, but he doesn't really like do music online like that. He doesn't really have a platform online for his music. I should tell him to. He used to like have a SoundCloud and stuff, but he doesn't really use it. He just, I mean, he used to be like, I think his goal, like his dream career was to be a music producer, but he just kind of found his way into other areas. Like he's doing a lot of video production now. He has social media, but it's not music related. If you want to follow him just to like hear his like memes and statuses, I can give you that, but I don't know if that's what you're interested in. Why is voting so stressful? My mail ballot was late delivered and I just shelled out $150 to get it next day tomorrow shipped. Wow. Yeah, no Spotify. I don't know if he like. I think he still like makes music, but it's just kind of. He doesn't do it online. He just does kind of a. He has sort of a word of mouth thing in the local community or whatever. I've been trying to tell him that he needs to get back online and do music, but maybe just that's not just what he's interested in at this moment. He's also really busy, so that might be also why he doesn't do it as much. I need more phones to watch all these streams. Yeah, a lot of people are streaming. I appreciate those who decide to stop by my stream. We're just chilling. I don't really have any super insightful election coverage, if that's what you're interested in. I'm just chilling and decompressing on a kind of a stressful day. Florida is was really close. Well, I guess not that close. Never mind. It looks like Trump's gonna win Georgia. Just sat down to update myself. Any good news? Nothing really big to report. Nothing surprising has happened yet. It looks to me, from my sort of layman perspective, that Trump is going to win Georgia, which is disappointing, but we'll see. Outside of that, I don't know. Trump, they've called Florida for Trump, which was expected, but it's one of those states that sometimes weird stuff can happen, obviously. This stream is helping me decompress and curb my anxiety. Well, that's good. Yeah, I just feel like sometimes, like, I live alone, and I don't always have. I actually invited friends to come over and like watch election coverage and just chill and relax, but nobody was really interested. One of my friends told me, I'm just gonna go to sleep and hope everything's okay. So I just kind of felt just this sort of anxiety bubbling, and it's like, I need to like speak to humans. So that's the main reason I decided to stream. Of course, something's happening today. I just found me a good mac and cheese recipe. Nothing else of note though, for sure. What's the recipe, or at least what's the secret to the recipe? Can someone explain what the darker red color means? The dark red means that Trump is leading. Dark red means Trump is leading in that state. Dark blue means Kamala is leading in that state. So the bright red and bright blue means that the state has been called for them. They essentially have won that state. But some of these are like very early, like Michigan here is 5% reporting, but it's too close for them to call it. But like some, like Alabama's like 1% reporting, but they've already called it because Trump has such a massive lead and Alabama always votes red, so they can pretty safely say that Trump has won. There's too much red. Yeah, but don't be fooled by the size of the states, because it's all about the number of people. Because like once they call California and New York, this number is gonna jump massively. And then a lot of these are going to be red, and so it's going to look like a lot. But, you know, these have, you know, like 2 or 3 votes, you know. So don't be confused by the size of the red. It's not about the size. It's not about what color is taking up most of the map in terms of physical area. It's just about the number of electoral votes. But it's still probably going to be close. Yeah, we can also look at the Senate seats and things of that nature as well. Like it says, it looks like Rick Scott is winning in let's see what this looks like. This is the Senate map right now. Wow, Texas is in a deadlock for the Senate race. They have almost the exact number of votes, the exact same number of votes. Man, I hope Ted Cruz loses. I can't stand that dude. Man, that's an obnoxious dude. Bernie Sanders, of course, won in Vermont. I haven't really been following a lot of these, so I'm not even sure which of these are like that interesting. Then we have the House. It uses less butter with seasoning. Never tried it that way before. Interesting. Let us know how it is if you want to. Anxiously smoking a black and mild, praying that democracy doesn't end. I feel you. But in all seriousness, just want to drop by and say I appreciate the videos, and I don't expect any real things until possibly 10, 11:30 for sure. Yeah, we won't. Like we were saying before, I don't think we'll know who wins. Earliest tomorrow, but it could take weeks, because if they say that Kamala is winning, then you know that Trump is going to say that it was rigged, and they're going to, since everybody does whatever Trump wants, even if he's full of shit, they're probably going to have to like force all kind of investigations and other bullshit like that. So you never know how long this is going to take. Were there any interesting ballot measures that y'all know about? We had one ballot measure in Alabama, but it was a pretty random local thing that no one really cares about. Okay, what did they just call? They call South Carolina for Trump, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana. All of that was expected though, right? Did they call something else for Kamala? Never realized how small New Jersey is. Yeah, it's pretty small. All seriousness, can we get a Static Shock live action? Is it even Marvel? Static Shock is not Marvel. Oh yeah, you said that. Oh, he's DC. In West Virginia, it was make it illegal to legalize euthanasia. Interesting. I thought there was going to be a map, but they don't have a map for the ballot measures. I don't really want to click on articles and stuff, but North Carolina's very close. Yeah, North Carolina. We're looking at North Carolina, Michigan, which also, well, actually, well, it's very early for Michigan, but Kamala's leading currently. Georgia is not very close, and a lot of districts have reported. So I'm not sure if there's any like major districts that are supposed to still vote. Atlanta's county has already voted. So yeah, I don't know. The only reason you know is because you can't pump gas. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right about New Jersey. You can't self-pump your gas. I bought alcohol and grabbed Twilight for a good hate read while I wait for results to trickle in. Florida right to abortion is winning. Is there a site that like tracks the ballot measures in an easy to read way? If you send a link, I don't think you can send links. Wait, why is this? I was gonna say, why is it not updated? Oh, okay, I see. Right to abortion, constitutional right to abortion before. Okay, so there's a lot of right to abortions. Okay. We don't have that. We didn't have that on our ballot in Alabama. It's not. They're not even putting it to a question here. Well, these are probably mostly going to pass because I think most people, both Democrats and Republicans, support, reasonable right to abortion. Yes, a lot of these are interesting. Wow, I didn't even know about a lot of these. I know you can't see all of them because I have it like cropped weird, but interesting. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on some of those. I've been waiting for you to stream because I had questions, but now I've forgotten them. Well, I mean, that's fine. If you think of them, that's cool. But, and, it's election day, but we don't have to talk about the election. If you guys want to comment or question about anything else, that's totally fine. Kansas passed right to abortion by a lot. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If if most things were done through a popular vote, I think the world would be a lot better. Well, if the presidential election was done through a popular vote, but even like other things, if things were put to a vote, a lot of things would pass. That makes sense. That doesn't mean that everything should be put to a popular vote, but it would show that Americans are more progressive than you would think, I think. I'm in the process of joining the military, and the outcome of this is really stressing me a bit. That's interesting to think about, actually. Like, what would the difference be for commanders-in-chief? Because, you know, Democrats are not exactly pacifists either when it comes to the military. Wait, what? See, how does this work? Can somebody explain this to me? Like, I know Maryland always goes for Trump, but they've already called Maryland for Trump, even though, I mean, they've called Maryland for Harris, and I know Maryland usually goes for Harris, or for Democrats, but Harris currently has less votes than Trump, yet they've called it for Maryland. How does that work? Because that happens all the time. Can anyone explain that to me? I don't get it. Is it just exit polling? So I guess it's just that. It seems like it just didn't seem like you would use exit polling to make such a definitive statement that Harris has won this state, but maybe it's just so overwhelming. But they're usually right, so I mean, I guess they're right most of the time. So I mean, interesting. Wait, Harris has 71. Oh, they called Illinois. How much of Maryland has reported? 2%. But Kamala has 74% of the votes. Oh, that's Massachusetts, my bad. Where's MD? MD is 1%. Yeah, 1%. Yeah, 1%, but she has 30% of the votes. But that's, you know, the only like 14,000 people's votes have been counted officially. Yeah, I know how the Electoral College works, but generally the electoral votes are given to who wins the popular vote in that state. So that's why it's just a little bit interesting when someone appears to have fewer votes, at least through the official count, that they're already calling that state for Harris. But as people have pointed out, it's most likely due to the exit polls. The electoral college system sucks. I feel like my vote doesn't matter. Popular vote equals or is greater than gerrymandering. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone who likes the electoral. I feel like the only people who like the electoral college are the politicians who run for president. And you know, trust me, I live in Alabama, which, as you can see, like doesn't matter. But there are some arguments, like for example, like Trump is going to go down in history as like one of the biggest anomalies ever, because in 2016 he won the presidency, but he also lost the popular vote by the widest margin ever of all time. And I think that's worth knowing and worth talking about, and it's going to be remembered in history. It's going to be like it's going to be like a fact that kids have to remember on a test. Like, which president won the election but lost by the widest margin ever? Like, that's something that we're going to remember. So I still think it is important to vote, even if you live in a state where whether it's gonna be red or blue is a foregone conclusion. It's still probably a good idea to vote. And let's say, for example, that Harris wins the electoral college and also wins the popular vote and just kind of like destroys Trump by 8 million votes or something. I think that will really show where the country's at. It's really going to show that, hey, this country rejected this guy outright, and there's just no doubt about it. So in some ways, I get why people say you should still vote. Maybe they're looking at the most populated counties. EC is specifically popular. You mean East Coast? It's the only reason they've won in the last 20 years. Every state could do proportional distribution of their electoral votes, and then it would be very close to the popular vote. I mean, they should just do the popular vote. I don't know why they don't just do that. None of the arguments for the electoral college really hold up to scrutiny, in my opinion. Like, the idea, like, one of the ideas, for example, is without the electoral college, then all the most populated states would still decide every election. So, like, for example, California, Texas, New York would just decide every election. But if you do the math, that doesn't add up, you know? There's 300 million people in America. If you take the top, 10 most populous cities in America, that's such a small fraction of that 300 million. Like, that it doesn't work. Democrats usually win the popular vote. Republicans like the electoral vote because it's the way they win. I mean, especially these days, I don't know if it's true. when Republicans win the presidency, they usually also win the, like, it's rare for in history for the person who wins the electoral vote to not also win the popular vote. I'm pretty sure that's true, but it's happened a couple times recently, so it's drawn a lot of attention to it. I could be wrong about that. I might need to double check that, but it's happened several times more recently. But I think the Democrats want the Electoral College just as much as the Republicans do, because it's also a way that they could use to win if it all, if it came down to it. What incentive would the red states have to stay in the Union if they could never send someone to the White House? But this is, again, we're implying, when we say red states, we're kind of implying that these red states are not being represented proportionally. But they're the large minority of people in the country, That's kind of like one of the most brilliant strategies of the Republicans is making it seem like they have more support than they actually do. Almost every Republican policy platform is very unpopular in the United States. Most Americans support abortion. Most Americans support LGBTQ. Most Americans support gun control. Everything that the Republicans support is unpopular, but they've managed to make it seem like they have a lot of support. Now, we do have to consider that America is a very diverse country, and it's a huge country with a lot of different types of people. And that's a thing, and that's one of the issues that we have to deal with. And there's never going to be like one president that represents everyone's ideals. But I think it's a bit weird when the president is a guy who doesn't represent most of the people, or even like a plurality of the people. That seems like that shouldn't be the case. Trump will also go down in history demonstrating the divisiveness of bipartisanship. You think that Trump demonstrates bipartisanship? I feel like I may misunderstand what you're saying. The average voter doesn't really get stuff like the economy and just thinks Trump is rich, so he must be better at the economy. Well, they're all rich. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit reductive. A lot of it is just narratives. And the Republicans are just better at stories. And also the Republicans are very good at using problems that they created as talking points for their campaigns. Like when we talk about, it's probably true that most people don't get the economy, but it's also true that a lot of people in America are struggling, and continue to struggle and probably will continue to struggle regardless of who becomes the president. And because that's the case, these people can always say, hey, you're struggling and I'm going to fix it. So I like with Trump was very lucky that COVID happened, because I think if COVID didn't happen, there's just no way Trump would be in the conversation right now. Because the reason that COVID happened, or the results of COVID happening, was just it devastated the economy, obviously, and it just happened to do it during Biden's term. Now, if you pay attention to economists and if you watch the statistics, the economy has improved over the years that Biden has been president. But if you're, a person who's struggling, that kind of means nothing to you. All you know is everything is super expensive now. Inflation is up. You feel like it might be harder to get a job, even though number-wise, unemployment is low, inflation has gone down, but you may not feel that personally. So from your perspective, it's like, well, before Biden, it was good. And during Biden, it was bad. So I guess that means Biden was bad. Kind of forgetting that the fact that there was a pandemic that kind of destroyed everything. But that's just how it goes. I mean, you can't even really be mad at people about that, because all they can go off is what they've experienced. Completely unrelated, been watching your stuff on Nebula and really enjoying your videos on sitcoms, even if I don't watch sitcoms. Just came in to say that. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. Democrats and people that would vote Democrat outnumber the Republican et al. In enough states that we'd never have a Republican again in office. We definitely would never have a Republican like the Republican Party is now. If the Republicans change the way that they went about things, we could definitely have another Republican. But like I said, the Republican Party these days is just this sort of fringe, proto-fascist, evangelical Frankenstein that it's just weird. Like it's unsustainable. It's going to implode. They are better at lying. I agree. The Republicans are better at, they're just better at telling stories. And unfortunately, or fortunately, or however you want to say it, human beings love stories. If you want to get human beings to do anything, just tell them a story that makes them feel good or that triggers their emotions. And the Republicans are very good at that. If you look at anything, look at any business that's successful, they're probably successful because they're good at telling stories. My YouTube channel started getting more views when I got better at telling stories. It's just the way that humans work. I think Democrats are getting better at it, but they're still, they're way behind. And also, since Republicans have no qualms with just lying, that makes it even easier to tell stories because you can just make stuff up. I think Democrats can mislead or stretch the truth here and there, but they don't brazenly lie like Republicans and right-wing commentators do. Not nearly to the same extent. I always see people showing gas prices during the beginning of COVID shutdown versus now as a reason to vote Trump. Yeah, there's a lot of blindness about the fact that COVID happened. And again, like I said before, you can't necessarily blame people. I mean, you would kind of expect people to remember that, but it's just an unfortunate thing, that happened. And given the circumstances, I think Biden has done excellent in supporting and dealing with that. I honestly think that Joe Biden has probably been the best president in my lifetime. Obviously, he's not perfect. There's some major issues there, but I can think of, like, there's a subreddit, go to a subreddit. I think it's a subreddit called What Joe Biden Has Done or Things Joe Biden Has Done. There's literally like pages and pages of things that he's accomplished or his administration accomplished. But yeah, the COVID thing is weird. People are like, are you better now than you were 4 years ago? It's like, bro, 4 years ago, there was no toilet paper at the gas station, at the grocery store. 4 years ago, I was trapped in my house. I've been canceling subscription services and looking for better options like Nebula. What do you use? I'm not the person to ask really, because I make videos about media and I just buy what I need to do that. I would say it just depends on what you want to watch, really. If you like Disney stuff, like I love Marvel stuff, so I have Disney Plus. But if you don't care about Disney or Marvel, then you don't need Disney Plus. If you just like a wide selection of random shit that you can just watch just for fun, then maybe Netflix is good for you. If you like WWE like I do, you might want Peacock. I have Peacock strictly for WWE. So it just kind of depends what you want to watch. And there's a lot of more like indie stuff. Like if you love horror movies, you might want Shudder. Shudder, like I would never pay for Shudder, but if you're a horror fan, you would love it, So it just depends what you want, what you like. I've heard some people, I saw some people on social media saying that they voted Kanye. I don't know if it was a meme or not. They might have been joking, but r/what Biden has done. Yeah. That's why, I don't know, there's a lot of, I know there's a lot of leftists don't like Biden, and this is why I don't really politically align with online leftists that much these days, because I feel like they go too ham on stuff and don't want to give people credit. And a lot of them are kind of like, it seems like a lot of leftists are waiting for some magical overnight cure, and that's just not a thing that's going to happen. So if you like actually look at what's going on and what has happened, it's hard to say that Biden has not been an impressive president, unless you only listen to propaganda. Get a different streaming service and cancel it each month. That's a viable strategy if you actually feel like doing that and actually keep up with it. And a lot of streaming services will give you discounts if you threaten to cancel. So Dropout, yeah, Dropout is very, very good. But again, Dropout has a very specific target audience, and if you're not in that target audience, you might not like it. But I am in that target audience 100%. If you like sort of nerdy, progressive, improv comedy type stuff, then Dropout is your thing. So North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Wyoming call for Trump, all expected, right? New York called for Harris. Still nothing interesting, I don't think. Yeah, we probably are not going to get any of the swing states until much later, right? Yes, Biden's sort of unwavering support for Israel is a big deal for a lot of people. But again, that's not going to change with any candidate we have, you know. But I do think that Biden, I mean, I don't even know. It's hard to like talk about Trump when it comes to foreign policy because I don't think he gives a shit about anything. So I don't even know like what he would do with Israel, honestly. But I do think Harris would be more, would be easier to sway on certain things like that. I don't know why anyone would vote for yay when Trump is on the ticket. Yeah, I mean, unlikely that anyone is seriously voting for Kanye, but you never know. Can you solve Israel-Palestine for us? I feel like that's a reference to my video, but nope. I hesitate to even talk about it because it's a topic that, it's one of those topics that people just completely destroy all of the nuance about it. And it's used as a purity test, which is always a problem in my opinion. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I just don't talk about politics on my channel anymore, because there's like certain issues where people are watching you to see if you have the right opinion, and if you have the wrong opinion, then well, you're done. And anybody got time for that? How much does charisma versus policy affect you? I don't really give a shit about charisma that much. Obviously, I'm mostly about policy, but I also, a lot of my political opinions are based just on my moral outlook in life. So a lot of that is not necessarily policy, but just like what I think is a moral way to behave, and a moral, like a policy that's moral to me matters a little bit more than a policy that is, I don't even know that's not really true though. I don't know the best way to describe it. I mean, that's kind of true. The way I'm hesitant because I don't want to sound like, because for example, a lot of people are anti-abortion for moral reasons. But it's like I feel like it's more immoral to take away someone's rights. So I guess it's subjective what one considers moral or not moral. But that's a little bit different than like charisma, right? So I don't know if that's even answering the question. But like, for example, I think healthcare should be a right primarily because of moral reasons. Like, I'm unconcerned, not completely unconcerned, but like, for example, I know that universal healthcare would be expensive, but I don't care because I feel like it's the moral thing to do. So there are certain things where I care more about the morals of it. And that's like one of the main reasons why I don't support Trump, because his entire thing is he's just a bad guy. And I don't want a bad guy to be the president, you know? Hearing people spout stuff they heard directly from Fox News is always a conversation turnoff for me. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people sort of get their talking points from media. I can't really say that only the right does that. But I do have, like, I'm not one of those people that's just trying to debate folks. I have like very easy deal breakers where I will judge you like an unserious person and then stop talking to you. Like I've got limited hours in my day to be spent like talking to people that have no interest in like actually figuring out what's true. The amount of purity testing in the left is astonishing, considering that the right will back Trump without batting an eye. Leftists, speaking as one, are so much worse about eating our own than the right. They can tolerate people they hate to get their goals. They hate minorities, but they hate women more. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like people are getting a little more. I feel like a lot of leftists are kind of starting to understand the issues that people have with the left, and are starting to distance themselves from that sort of thing more than before. But yeah, I've been sort of out of the loop with that kind of stuff for a while. I don't even know really what the disposition is of online politics, because I just don't do it anymore. But yeah, I had to, people used to say that I was part of BreadTube, that I was one of the lefty YouTube creators, which honestly probably was less true than people thought, because I think a lot of people were surprised to find out that I wasn't a socialist. But yeah, I had to sort of separate myself from that whole thing. I figured that the left was like, that was my people, but it became very clear that it was not my people. So I guess I just am my own person. I mean, I consider myself a left-wing person, but for a lot of people, I'm not left enough, which is cringe, but that's how it is. On the left, we don't do that because if someone prefers saying LGBT plus versus LGBTQ2S, off with their head. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff like that for sure. People betting on this? Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm not betting on it, but people definitely are. What's up, Mr. Morgan Farts? I'll be checking out Curiosity, Dropout, and cancel resubbing services. Yeah, I know a lot of people that just sub to a service just to watch one show, and then once they're done, they just cancel. I mean, I basically do that, but I watch a lot of shows because I make videos about them, so I do it probably more frequently than the average person. But the ones that I stay subscribed to are Disney Plus, Peacock, Dropout, and I have Amazon, but that's mainly for Amazon Prime, but I use the Prime Video since I have it. Yeah, sometimes it's best to analyze whether debating a given person will be productive or just do more harm. the thing that I have learned from being an online person is most people are not interested in seeking the truth or having a good faith argument about politics. Just most people in general aren't. So you can disqualify people pretty quickly. If people, like, I don't talk about politics online that much, but if I can find people who seem interested in a good faith conversation, I'm happy to do it. It just doesn't really happen. People are way too married to political ideology. Humans tend to put an economic system before human beings' needs and welfare. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that to some extent. I mean, I think that is one of the changes that I personally made, was I decided not to identify myself through my politics. And I think that is kind of what most people do these days, or at least it seems like what most people online do, where pretty much every aspect of people's lives they filter through the lens of politics, and I just don't do that anymore. I just don't think that's a healthy thing to do, and that's why it's so hard to have a good faith conversation, because for a person to like question their politics, it's basically religion at this point. Like, if a person questions their politics, that means they're questioning their own personal identity, and most people do not feel comfortable doing that. So they have to double down on every single thing, even if it's potentially irrational, or even if they don't really have a good justification for it, they have to double down on it because they've married their identity to it. And it's just not, I don't think that's a healthy way to be. You need to be like prepared to change your mind if you get better information. And I'm not saying I was always perfect at this. This is kind of a recent development for me, honestly. People don't want to make their own decisions because it's exhausting and stressful, so they use religion or political parties as a logical razor. Yeah, and to some extent, you can't blame people. People got shit to do. You know, people got to work and raise kids, and you know, it's hard to have to think about all this stuff all the time. I get it, but you got to figure out a way to not be, not be that guy. So like for me, I come up with easy tests. It's not perfect, but it's easy for me to like form a general first impression of an idea, even if I haven't researched it. My test is, am I or are they being a dick? Is this compassion based, or is this selfish? Is this harmful to others? Is this mean-spirited? Basically, it's the are you being a dick test. And that, to me, that works 90% of the time. Like, for example, the trans issue. A lot of people talk about the trans issue. You may not know anything about transgender people. You may have not done the research. You don't know the psychological aspect of it. You don't know the medical view of it. You don't know the physiological view of it. But if you look at people talking about trans people and you ask yourself, are they being a dick? Or am I being a dick? I think you can pretty quickly come to a conclusion. Yeah, a lot of these people are being a dick. So that, I think you got to come up with, like, figure out what your values are and figure out, like, just on a base level, does this coincide with your values? having your primary community being a political movement is bad for the heart. I agree. And I can say, in my experience, backing away from politics has been nothing but positive for me, for my mental health, for my productivity, for everything. Some people have a cultish relationship with political affiliations. Yeah, exactly. At risk of going into rhetoric, the whole conservative strategy in many countries is make problems to distract people, then say you have solutions. Well, yeah, I mean, and this is an issue, and there's all kinds of issues. Like, I think people are just not very politically informed, which again, you can't really blame them because people got shit to do and people can't pay attention to everything. But because of that, it's easy for certain, opportunistic politicians to con you, basically, to say, hey, here's this problem. Maybe we could have done something about that problem, but we're not going to tell you that. Or maybe we directly caused this problem. We're definitely not going to tell you that. But hey, we got this problem, and we're going to scapegoat this other group and tell you that because of them, that's why you have this problem, and so on and so on. Man, you haven't changed since I first saw you in the start. Not sure if that's good or bad. Problem is, if most humans would ever bother to ask themselves, am I being a dick? Their answer will always be no. And, that's where it comes down to personal honesty and personal responsibility. And that's honestly, unfortunately, that's the part that we cannot control about other people. I would like to think that most people would like to, or at least value honesty and value respect. Some people don't, but I would think that most people do. So you have to personally make a choice to sit down and think to yourself and be introspective and really be honest to yourself about whether or not you're being a dick. To me, if you say to yourself, am I being a dick, when you clearly are, and you say no, to me that means you're not really being introspective. You're being stubborn. And it's just up to each of us to not be stubborn and to actually be honest with ourselves. And whether or not we're going to do it, that's up to us. Most people probably aren't, but that's just how it goes. I hate how some people use politics as an excuse to be openly racist. Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to the am I being a dick test. Turn the ceiling fan on a little bit. Not always. I know a lot of self-aware dicks. They're honestly easier to deal with than the self-righteous ones. Yeah, and listen, this assumes that you value not being a dick. There are people who do not value that. There are people who think being a smartass and being an asshole is cool. But kind of like you said, you almost respect them. You almost respect them for being honest with themselves. Like, if a lot of these people were honest, they'd be a lot more easy to deal with. If people were just like, you know what, I just don't like brown people, and that's why I'm voting for Trump. Like, that's easier to deal with than all this other bullshit. Like, oh, they're coming in and stealing our jobs, and they're causing crimes, and blah, 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 and all this made up stuff. That's more frustrating to deal with because it's a bunch of obfuscation and lies. Like, if people were honest, that would be way more easier to deal with. Can accounting actually take days? Absolutely. Most of the time, the we know who won by the next day. However, we're dealing with a guy who we're pretty sure if he doesn't win is going to claim that it was rigged and that people cheated, and all of his fans are going to say the same thing, and they're going to cause a big hush or big they're going to make a lot of noise. And Trump has like this sort of like godlike control over the Republican Party, so they're all going to fall in line as well. So we're dealing with unique circumstances here, so it could take days for sure. I think the only way that it won't take days is if Harris just wins in a landslide, no questions asked. But even in that case, Trump is probably going to throw a tantrum and cause a bunch of chaos, so we'll see. I don't think Trump wants another January 6th. As big of a baby as he is, I think he knows that would probably be bad for him. So he probably doesn't want that. But honestly, with him, you never know. Do you have any collaborations lined up? If not, who would you choose? I don't have any lined up. I mean, I'm open to any kinds of collaborations. But it's kind of hard to collaborate because I live in Alabama, which is like no one lives here. Obviously, you can do remote collaborations, which I've done before, but I feel like everyone's just kind of doing their own thing. It's kind of, sometimes it's hard to reach out to people. It's like, nah, I'm super busy, man. Like, YouTubers are busy. I think that's a thing people don't realize is YouTubers don't have free time. They're always working. I feel lucky that in that my life won't drastically change if when Trump wins, but I have a lot of trans friends who are pretty worried tonight. Yeah, I mean, I think I used to think that it didn't matter who the president was because, there's checks and balances. The president, doesn't have absolute power, but especially with Trump and the way that he just can like snap his fingers and the entire Republican Party does whatever he wants. It's a big deal. Like, it can really change a lot of stuff, as we've seen. One of my relatives started using Facebook more, and I've witnessed them slowly become more radicalized and fall for fear-mongering propaganda. Yeah, I think a lot of people watch their family members become radicalized. Oh, what's up, Hassan? It's Hassan or Hassan? I think it's Hassan, right? I think I've heard you say it in the video. But yeah, hit me up. What an endless nightmare. Can't wait till he's gone. But for real though, we should link up. I got a lot of questions about how to do shorts. Psychologically has shown us that our brains are super good at telling us we aren't the bad guys, so not every person could be doing it consciously. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect most people to be introspective in that way. But that's my hope, and that's what I try to do for myself, to be honest. At the end of the day, each person you have to take care of yourself and be the best person you can be. You can't control other people, unfortunately. If I could control other people, we wouldn't be in this situation. Like it's we have to take this seriously because it's happening, but if we like step back and think about this, like, this is crazy. It's crazy that this is happening. It's crazy that Trump is here. And it continues to be more and more crazy. Like, this is a man who's a convicted felon, a sexual abuser, a con man, just a bad dude. It's wild. Not to mention he tried to overthrow the government. Yet he has a very good chance of becoming the president. Like, that's crazy. But unfortunately, that's reality also. So we have to sit here and take it seriously and talk about it seriously, you know? SCOTUS just kind of handed executive quite a bit more power. That is true. That's very scary. And that's much more scary in the hands of Trump than Harris. Remember the sheer density of crap happening day in and day out during the Trump administration, from serving McDonald's to the Clemson Tigers to sitting in the Oval Office for a canned beans ad. Yeah, that was a weird time. And we thought that we were done with it. I'm listening to this discussion as I study for class. Word. Honestly, do the studying. don't. Hopefully, you're not like too stressed out to study. The studying is probably more important in this moment. I'm glad I ditched Twitter a while back, or I'd probably be a lot worse off. Leaving Twitter has been extremely good for me. I don't even understand how people are still on Twitter. It's so bad now. Every now and then I go and check it out because there's a few people I still follow. It is just like a bunch of spam and porn and Elon stands and neo-Nazis. It's like, what the hell? Why is anybody still on this site? T1J shorts with this music would slay if you can get good editing. Yeah, I don't know. You gotta come up with good ideas, I guess. I have a couple of shorts that did okay, but I don't know how to do it consistently. Well, tax policy is good for the wealthiest 5%. If you're not among that group, neither party really represents your interests. I mean, I don't know. It depends. And neither party is going to represent 100% of your interests. Of course not. But I do think that one of the parties represents my interests more than the other one. By quite a bit. Quite a wide margin. I always try to remember Hanlon's razor. What is Hanlon's razor? I know multiple lifelong dedicated Republicans, I'm talking cult-like dedication, that are refusing to vote because voting Democrat goes against their indoctrination, but Trump is so clearly bad. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people like that as well. And honestly, from a selfish perspective, if there's a choice between not voting and voting for Trump, I kind of prefer you don't vote. Checking the map, still nothing interesting. What are the states again? What time? So these states won't come in until like, okay, so we still got a couple hours for those. I don't even know if I'm going to stream for that long. Undertaker and Trump on a podcast together is a crazy timeline. That definitely was a bit unexpected, but honestly, in this day and age, we might need to start to expect that sort of thing, because these podcasts and stuff, these are what people are watching, you know. This is what people are tuning into, so this is where the people are. It's a good way to reach people. You can't deny it. It's just weird for me to see, like, the Undertaker seems like a chill, savvy dude, and it just seems weird to me to see, like, a person who seems to have street smarts and to seem to have, you know, like a BS detector. It's just so weird to me to see people like that who support Trump, because he's like the most obvious con man that I've ever seen. Yet there's so many people that I would assume to be smart people that support him, and not even just support him, but just get like giddy around him and think that he's like funny and cool. Like, what happened to like being able to understand when someone is cringe or when someone is a bullshitter? Like, I always felt like certain people were good at that, but I don't know. And I know that, you know, there's the idea of like, we assume sort of malice and we assume certain things about people where it's like, yeah, maybe he knows that he's a bullshitter, but since Trump is going to cut his taxes, that's why he supports him. But it can't be that simple. That seems so simplistic. Hanlon's razor is a philosophical principle that suggests that people should not attribute malice to something. Oh yeah, okay. That, I'm familiar with that. I didn't know that that's what it was called. What map am I using? This is just Google, and Google is using the Associated Press reporting. I think it's dumb that we tell every child in school you should vote no matter what. If you have no idea about what you're voting on, then no, stay home. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you have no idea, but maybe like get an idea. Instead of telling people that you should vote no matter what, we should be like, here are some issues that the candidates support. And now you can decide what you feel about that, and then vote if you want to. Is Nevada usually red? I think Nevada is a swing state. I think it goes back and forth. It was blue last year. Or I mean, not last election, I mean. So it was blue in the last two elections. But it's being the media says that it's a battleground state. So I don't know. As of right now, 178 to 99. True, but keep in mind, California's gonna go blue. I think California, Oregon, and Washington all go blue. I mean, like they say, it's gonna come down to the swing states. It's gonna come down to Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, and I guess Nevada, and then Wisconsin. Because once these blue ones come in, it's gonna get really close. Is Maine a red state? I thought Maine was a blue state. I guess it's just winning currently, not like totally. I'm in Missouri and I'm hopeful, but in my heart of hearts, I know that the only reason it's blue right now is that most blue counties started counting first. Yeah. Where's Missouri at? 21 reporting, 21% reporting. The vote count is pretty close. Instead of staying home, it would be better to remind people that can leave portions of their ballot blank. Also, looking up your ballot ahead of time and learning about what's on it can really be helpful. Yeah, I mean, people, you have to do your own research to some extent, you know? Everyone can't be totally informed about everything. But it is important to remember, and I think a lot of people forget that you vote on more than just the president when you go vote. You also vote for your local offices, your senators, and things like that. So that's very important to remember, because I think that matters more probably. I don't know, this election, it may not matter more, but in general, I think that matters more. And then there's a lot of, you know, as we've seen, there's a lot of local ballots that are very important. Like the right to abortion is on a lot of local ballots. And you don't even have to do that much research about that. You can just decide how you feel about that. I mean, it's helpful to do research if you want to. Like, you may want to like know the science of different stages of pregnancy and abortion and stuff like that. But ultimately, I think it just comes down to how you personally feel about it. I think Maine switches a lot, but based on how Stephen King talks about Maine, I assume it's mostly red. Maybe. I was looking at some prior maps. Like, this is the oops. This is 2016. So Maine apparently was blue in 2016. But Trump took Pennsylvania, Georgia, Florida, Michigan. Basically swept the swing states, didn't he? I'm in Mississippi. I wish my federal vote counted. I feel you as a person who lives in Alabama, but it's still, you should still vote, because we still want to get that popular vote, even though it doesn't determine the president. We still want to make the point that we reject this, or at least that's what I would say from my perspective. When Kamala began by talking about aggressively taxing the richest 1% in their corporations, I was pleased. That message spoke broadly. When she stopped suddenly early on, it was an uphill from there. It was all uphill from there. The thing about that is there's like the Democrats are definitely going to have to win. They're going to have large majorities in Congress for that to even pass, I think. There were several measures and judges in Missouri this year. Yeah, I mean, there's probably most states. You vote for all your judges and all your local offices and things of that nature. Man, I hated Hillary and the Democratic Party for choosing her over Bernie. I was definitely not a fan of Hillary myself. I would have preferred Bernie as well. But I'm interested to know if Bernie could have beaten Trump. That would be interesting. I'm not totally sure. I mean, Hillary didn't beat Trump, so I don't know. But I think there were a lot of people who voted Trump who would have voted Bernie, which is weird, but it seems to be true. I just want to see, like, I just want to get the results for a couple of the swing states just to, like, start to think about what's actually going to happen. Like, I think Georgia, it looks like Georgia's going to go Trump, which is a little sad. But we can maybe get Pennsylvania. And then we'll have to wait. Like, Pennsylvania is the furthest along in counting, besides Georgia. And, you know, these West Coast states, we won't get those until, like, later tonight. Like smaller streams, a whole lot more cozy and chill. Yeah, I can see that. I enjoy the fact that I can read a lot of the comments, but obviously, you know, as a creator, I would like my audience to continue to grow. I think a lot of people just gave up and didn't go vote because of that. Because of the Bernie thing. I hate how instant voting has become, takes away all the suspense. Well, I mean, like I said, we probably have to wait a while to really know the results, unless it's like a blowout. It does kind of suck that it's going just how you expect it to go, you know, like all of the red states are reliably going red. Doesn't matter that it's Trump. In fact, many of them enjoyed that it's Trump. I live in Alabama. They love Trump in Alabama, bro. No surprises, basically. Like, it's literally going to be decided by the swing states, as always. It's like, what is even the point of this? Like, why do we even do this? It's the same every time, except for, like, the same, like, 5 or 6 states. How much does having the first female president matter? I mean, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal, for sure. It kind of sucks that that historic possibility is being overshadowed by the fact that we just really don't want Trump to be the president. Not only the first female, but first female of color. That will be wild if a female of color beats a white woman to the presidency. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big deal, and it will go down in history if it happens. Like, we will be like, you know, when I was in 5th grade, we used to like draw pictures of like fucking like Jackie Joyner Kersey and Marion Barry. Who am I thinking of? Not Marion Barry. I don't know, but you know, like black women who did like really cool stuff in history. And we will be like, kids will be drawing her, you know. I was trying to think of Madam C.J. Walker. I don't know why that's the name that came to my head. But yeah, I just remember like learning about her in 5th grade, and we like made like little pictures and stuff because it was just like a black woman who was like kind of a badass in history, you know? And, you know, we may not talk about it as much as we should when it happens, but it will go down in history for sure. I think Harris is going to get the popular vote. I would be surprised if she doesn't. But unfortunately, that's not how the president is determined. So scary how many people are voting for Trump. I agree. That's the thing. Even if Harris wins, we still have, you know, 40, 50, 60 million people that wanted Trump to win. And that is crazy. Like, they're still going to be here after. Hello from Australia. We're watching to see what our future will be and can't influence it in any way. Man, America has got to be the laughingstock of the world. This has got to be, this is so cringe. You know, we make fun of other countries and shit, but we can't even make fun of anybody. We got Trump over here being a fool. I'm hoping my home state of Georgia stays blue. It was very close last time. Luckily, enough of us turned up for the run-ups too. Yeah, it looks pretty close, but they're almost done reporting, and Trump has a pretty sizable lead. I'm not sure which counties are yet to come. There may be still some like significant districts that need to get counted, but I want to hold on. Let me look at. I want to see if Fox News is called Georgia for Troy. they have, it looks like, but they have where's their map, dude? I'm trying to look. They have 117 and 195, which is different from, I'm not sure what they've counted. Why don't they have a map? Give me a map, dude. Well, I don't know. That's the other thing. If she wins, schools will be named after her in a short amount of time. I could see that. Australia has plenty to make fun of if friendly Geordies is any indication. I don't even know if I know what that is. Never in a million years would I think that people would agree with someone like Trump in 2012, yet here we are just regressing. Yeah, I mean, it really revealed a lot about this country that maybe was not surprising to some people, but surprising to a lot of other people. And it's not all bad. Like, I mean, it's bad, but I think a lot of people would phrase it like it revealed how many like racist, you know, demoral or deplorables lived in America. But I think also it did that a little bit, but mostly it just revealed like how pissed off people were and how disgruntled people are. And when people are emotional and disgruntled, they'll vote for anything that's different than what they're used to, you know? I don't know if it's justified how disgruntled people are, and I think a lot of it is based in xenophobia sometimes or misinformation. But to me, that isn't just a failing on the part of Trump and his supporters. That's also a failing on everybody else, especially the Democrats. The fact that the Democrats can't beat Trump, that's a problem. They should feel bad about that. Like, or that they're having trouble with this, that it's close. That's a problem. I would feel bad if I was the Democrats. I would be very frustrated that they're having trouble beating this guy. That reminds me of when I was in middle school. I played on the middle school basketball team, and I'm like 5'11" now, which is not tall enough to be a basketball player for the most part. But when I was in middle school, I was one of the tallest kids. So I was on the basketball team, and we went out, you know, we would like travel and play other teams. And we played this one team, and there was this tiny little kid. He was like a full foot shorter than me, but he was like running circles around me and, you know, shooting on me. Like I literally couldn't block his shots for some reason. He just shot the ball so quick. And I was like, how am I losing to this tiny dude? How is this possible? And I felt bad because on paper, I shouldn't be losing to this dude. I was a pretty good player. It's not that I was a bad player. I was a pretty good player. But yeah, I don't know. It just makes me think of that. The Democrats should feel bad, and they should. Hopefully, they learn something from this. They probably won't, because I don't really think the Democrats care that much about winning as an organization. Because even if they don't win this time, they'll probably win next time, or they'll win the next time after that. Like, they get to continue existing regardless of how poorly they do, so they don't have that much of an incentive. They'll always be the second most powerful political party if they're not the first most powerful. So, you know, but ideally they'll learn from this and realize, hey, this dude, this super unqualified lunatic came and just destroyed us, just like mollywopped us for like 12 years. Like, hopefully they think about that. Hot take from a non-native friend watching the voting. America hates women. Otherwise, how can you vote for a rapist who talks the way he does and shuts down abortion? Right. I mean, America is cooked. I mean, like I said, Trump revealed a lot of things about America. They revealed that there's a lot of hate and a lot of anger that just wasn't at the surface, you know? Damn, Jackson County in Alabama voted Jill. Is that true? I don't even know how to read this map. Is this Jackson County up here? Should I know my own counties? I don't know that I guess they're saying that Jill is leading in Jackson County. That's pretty cool. Well, I don't know if it's cool, but it's interesting. Dems not being able to decidedly beat Trump is an embarrassment of historical proportions. I honestly think the rest of the world will laugh about that forever. Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing. We should be roasted. Hopefully, if we make it through this, you know, we should be roasted. Our international friends should roast us. Like, remember that time that Trump dog walked the Democrats for 12 years? Like, we don't even have a comeback. We can be like, remember Brexit? That was kind of weird. It's like, no, Trump. Don't even talk. Even though Trump and Brexit are very closely connected, I think we still lose on that. Sorry if you said already, what do you wish Kamala had done better? Well, it's a weird situation because Kamala kind of, Biden dropped out and then Kamala just became the nominee. So we didn't really get a lot of time to even learn that much about Kamala. I'm basically assuming, based on what she said, that she's mostly going to continue the policies of Biden, which I think have been good, largely good. I just think in general, I wish Democrats and politicians in general were more real. Like, I fully understand why when people listen to Kamala Harris, they don't believe her, because she's just a politician. She doesn't sound like she believes what she's saying. And they all speak in like, they speak using scripts. They repeat themselves all the time. They sound like robots. It's very cringe. And that's one of the ways that Trump stood out to people, because he sounded like like an actual person. I mean, he sounded like a crazy asshole, but he at least sounded like a person. Um, and I continue to wish that Democrats would just get better at communication. Like, I don't know if you guys have kept up or watched a lot of Pete Buttigieg. That dude's amazing. When you hear him talk, he sounds like he believes what he's saying, and he sounds like a person, you know? Every now and then he gets into the talking points, but overall, he's such a good communicator, and I kind of wish that more Democrats were better at that. In fact, I think Biden was pretty good at it. Biden generally he sounded like he believed what he's saying. He sounded like a person. I don't think Kamala sounds believable. So that's one big thing. Kamala, I have probably more nuanced ideas about Israel-Palestine, but Kamala needed to have a harder stance on Israel-Palestine. I think she would have immediately won so many people over if she just had a hard stance. Like, Israel is doing some bad shit, and we're gonna make sure they don't do it, and we're gonna stop giving them money and funding them so they can continue to do the dumb shit that they're doing. I think if she said that would have been good. I think she would have won so many people over doing that. I think a lot of people are hesitant to vote for her just based on that. So there's a couple of things. Have ever seen Kevin Can F Himself? I've seen a couple episodes that's really good. I should do a video about that. I loved it, actually. I haven't seen all of it. Yeah, that might be actually a good video topic because that's a really unique show that I think people would be interested in. I already knew I was cooked here in Utah, but what the fuck, New Mexico and Oregon too? Well, don't be hasty. Like, the dark red means that Trump is currently leading, but that's not the final tally. Like, earlier we were kind of freaking out because Texas was blue, but that's just because Kamala had an early lead. But as you can see, Trump eventually took Texas. So we'll see. Is Oregon not a blue state? I always thought Oregon was blue, isn't it? Or am I just thinking about Portland? Colorado. I have a feeling we're just not going to get any of the swing states until like either tomorrow or like late tonight. Trump speaks from a script. The script is amphetamines. Maybe now for sure. Man, Trump, if you watch Trump rallies now, his age is really starting to show now. Because, you know, a lot of people were talking about how he has so much more energy than Biden and all that stuff, but he looks a little rough sometimes at these rallies. He looks like he does not want to be there. It's going to take a long time to top Obama in oratory skill. Oh yeah, Obama was the GOAT when it came to speaking. Absolutely. I just think that's so useful for politicians if you just sound like you actually care about what you're talking about. And so many politicians are bad at that. And I think Kamala's bad at that, and it could be a problem for this election. Is my shirt a prediction? I hope not. I just like the color red. Also, I'm from Alabama, which is a red state, but also I support the Alabama football team, which uses crimson as their color. So I have a lot of red clothing. I obsessively watched all of Kevin Can F Himself. It was so good for many reasons. I need to finish it. I kind of forgot that show existed. You kind of reminded me about it. How many votes is California? It's like 50 something, isn't it? Well, it'll tell me, right? Oh, it doesn't tell me. $54. All Trump, I guess. All Trump's talk were promises, vague, scary promises they intend to follow through, and more because they warned us, and damn it, we're handing them a mandate. It's so close. The thing about Trump, though, is I don't like, even though he sounds like a person, he sounds like he cares about what he's talking about. I don't think he actually cares. That's the thing about it. He's like a con man. He's a con man. Like, that's his thing, is he makes you trust him and then he screws you, or he just does what benefits him. So we can never really predict what Trump is going to do because I don't think he cares about anything. How late talking when it comes to results? I just woke up, so I'm curious how my night is going to go. Well, I mean, California polls don't close until another hour. I didn't intend to stream that long, but honestly, maybe we'll just do it and see what happens. But I doubt we'll get the full results tonight. It'll be, at most, it'll be tomorrow. Sometimes it's that night, though. I remember 2016. I was literally at the bar watching election coverage in 2016. And so I think around like 2 a.m. or something, they had finally had the results, or they called it for Trump. And I was just sitting in the bar, just like drunk and stressed out. Music on my mind since Quincy Jones' death. R.I.P. Your bro should get back into producing. His beats are dope. Yeah, Quincy, rest in peace, Quincy Jones, for sure. I think my brother still does it. It's just he doesn't do it like as much, or he does it more on a personal, private level. But I've been trying to tell him to get back on, social media and start spreading. Like, he had a YouTube channel where he did music stuff, but he didn't really keep up with it. Thank you for clarifying. You've been saying a lot of fence-sitter-ass things. Who, me? I guess if you say so. I'm not a fence-sitter at all. This is one of the easiest choices I've ever had to make as a voter. But I think most people, well, not most people, but I think a lot of people are just very non-nuanced about things, and it's pretty annoying to me. It's one of the reasons why I don't talk about politics. On the Google map, if you click the states that don't have a color yet, you can see how many votes. Oh, you have to click them? Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering about the score, but like, she's gonna get these 54. I think Washington is blue. That's 12. She's probably gonna get. I mean, she's gonna get New Hampshire. So it's just gonna come down to like. I mean, I can't really do the math, but it's going to come down to the swing states as predicted and as we should expect, totally unrelated. What do you think of the main actor in Rebel Ridge playing the role of the new Green Lantern? I don't know who is the main actor in Rebel Ridge. Yeah, I don't know what Rebel Ridge is. I don't know. Is he a good actor? You know, I'm not like, the Green Lantern has never been one of my favorite characters. I don't really follow that character that much. I don't know. I feel you. I was at work on my birthday 2016 watching the world change before my eyes. This is all this red. I cannot believe my home of a decade is like this, and that I so misunderstand the people I live with and walk among every day. I mean, I feel you, but also, again, don't be like discouraged by the size of the states. Like these states up here, nobody lives here. Wyoming, the Dakotas, Montana, there's like 14 people total in all those states. But the states are big geographically, so it takes up a big part of the map. It's all about the number of votes. What sitcom is the next video about? It's a surprise. Maybe it's not even a sitcom. Sparking Zero has been kicking my ass. I haven't played it. I heard that it's hard. And there's, you know, I kind of follow these games for competitive reasons, but I heard that it's kind of weird when it comes to competitive stuff. Did I ever see The Matrix 4? I did. If so, thoughts? I didn't like it. I've heard that it has a lot of symbolism that is important to trans people, but as a non-trans person, I don't think any of that was evident to me. But just as a fan, a huge fan of the Matrix trilogy, I don't feel like it is anywhere near on the level of those movies. I think it's pretty bad. But if it means something to other people, that's cool too. Have I seen Mystery Guitar Man's movies? I have not. I know he did one with Anna Kendrick. I haven't seen it though. I remember being stunned sitting on a bed for hours watching the 2016 results come in. It seemed hard to believe at the time. It was hard to believe. It's still hard to believe. I hope VA goes blue. It's real close so far. It is close. It's super close. Wait, does VA usually go red? Could this be a spoiler state? I'm one of the maybe 21 people ever born in Montana. I want to clarify that the red does not represent my views. Yeah, it is America is a very weirdly set up. Like there's these huge states in terms of like geography, but there were like very few people live. And then in the South here, a decent amount of people live there, but it's nothing compared to like when you go up to like New York and Massachusetts and Pennsylvania. And then obviously you have California over here where there's so many people that live in California. Could be a rom-com this time. Maybe. With those, when these videos come out, you guys got to support them though, because a lot of times, like, very surprisingly, my video about Friends didn't do well. When I was like, I mean, my perspective is like Friends is one of the most popular shows of all time, but I guess it's just people don't have that interest in it. So you got to support the videos. I'm not saying don't watch videos that you're not interested in, but if you're just interested in the general idea of discussing these TV shows, I think you got to support them. VA is a battleground. The North has been blue recently. I think it went red for 2016, blue for 2020. Interesting. No one is talking about Virginia as one of the battleground states. Why is that? You should just distribute people more equally, like social communalism. Well, that's also the thing about America is each state kind of has its own culture, so people kind of like move to the state that, or not necessarily they move because of the culture, but they kind of adopt the culture of the state that they live in. So like, there are a lot of people who live in California who would never dream of moving to Wyoming. It's like, absolutely not. Even though there's way more space there. If you could regularly guest star in any one sitcom, what would it be? Like a current sitcom? I don't watch current shows, so I don't know, but maybe The Good Place, that would be cool. Even though like the events of The Good Place are like pretty devastating, but that would be cool. I usually watch your stuff on Nebula. Would you rather me do it on here? No, I think you should do it in the way that is the most comfortable for you, because that means that you are more likely to do it. But I mean, in watching on Nebula does count as supporting the video. So when I say support the video, that doesn't mean watch it on YouTube. You can support it in many ways, including watching on Nebula. What is this playlist? Oh, it's the details. Yeah, it's I don't even remember what I put in the details. But yeah, these are beats done by my brother John Ivory. As we were talking about before, he doesn't really have like a solid online presence. He doesn't do music that much. I've been trying to get him to do it, or at least like I think he does it like in his free time here and there. Maybe he does like commissions for people he knows in real life, but he doesn't like do it as a career or as his main hobby. Is there a way to vote for Legal Eagle for president? I kind of doubt that he wants to be the president, but if you don't mind me asking, what gets you more money per watch, Nebula or YouTube? So it just in like a pure mathematical sense, it's nebula. But it's more complex than that. Cause like YouTube, so like for one person specifically, if it was just you, and you want to know what would cause T1J to make more money from my view, the answer would be nebula. But if it was 100,000 people that each asked that question, and you said what would cause T1J to get the most money, it would probably be YouTube in the long run. Ultimately, you should do what you like the best, because that means you are more willing to do it. If you don't like YouTube as much as Nebula, you're less likely to watch videos on YouTube. So this just another election or a total disaster for US democracy like it's made out to be? Probably somewhere in the middle, but you never know really. It just kind of depends on what Trump would do if he wins, which is hard to predict because he's a very unpredictable person. It's possible that Trump becomes or does his best to become a dictator and consolidate power into the executive branch, and makes a bunch of unilateral decisions that either he prevents other people from challenging, or he just gets the Republicans to fall in line with because they kind of do whatever he wants. And that could be a disaster, and he could do a bunch of crazy stuff. That's a real possibility. Also possible is Trump gets into office and does nothing and just is satisfied with the fact that he won and just chills and doesn't do anything. That's also a real possibility. So it's hard to predict. But the fact that that first thing is a possibility is important to consider when we voted. And we've kind of seen the sorts of things that Trump is willing to do. The man literally, not figuratively, literally tried to coup the government. That's a thing that he did for real. So we know that he's willing to do some crazy shit in order to change results that he doesn't like. Now, luckily, he failed at that. And it's possible that even if he wanted to try and become a dictator, he would fail just due to the systems we have in place, as well as the people we have in place that still care about democracy. As much as I did not like Mike Pence as a politician, as the vice president, Mike Pence refused to go along with Trump's coup of the government, and that is a large reason why it was unsuccessful. So it's a complex situation. If you weren't a tuber, what profession do you think you would have fallen into? I don't know, something creative, probably some kind of writing, maybe a writer of some kind, either like a writer on, maybe a writer on a TV show, or maybe even a novelist, something like that. But definitely something creative, and something where I have, you know, flexibility in my life. What's your opinion on the electoral college system? I think it is stupid and dumb altogether. I think there are basically no good arguments for it. I think the only reason it exists is because both parties use it. Do I fucks with Gundam? I don't really know much about Gundam. Just want to say real quick that I appreciate your election posts on Facebook. Appreciate that. I've got a Facebook fan. I feel like there's not that much of a crossover between the people who follow me on Facebook and who follow me on other platforms. I should stream on Facebook every now and then. I've never streamed on Facebook before. I feel like no one would watch though. I don't know. I guess I have to try. Sometimes I think I just don't understand where I have lived and worked for a decade. GOP has promised mayhem and idiots in charge, and the votes are pouring in for that. Make it make sense. I don't know, man. It's America for you. Have to go. Good night, everyone. Good night, Shaloa. Do you still paint figurines? Have any to show off? I don't think I have any here that are painted. I have many unpainted ones, but all the ones that I've recently painted, I've taken to my buddy's house where we play. Interesting noting that lack of cross viewership. Yeah, I don't know. Facebook just feels like an island to me. It just feels like only a certain type of person uses Facebook, and I'm that type of person, by the way. So I really need to talk to my brother because I've gotten so many comments on the music. And so the music is made by my brother, but he's not really active on social media when it comes to music. But I get a lot of comments about the music. I feel like he could develop an audience if he really put his mind to it. Any recent movies you have an opinion on? No, the last movie I saw was Deadpool and Wolverine, which was okay. I did recently watch Agatha All Along, which was amazing. That's a TV show, not a movie, but that's the most recent thing that I've seen, and it's real good. What's up, Timothy? I deleted all my social media at one point and then remembered my Facebook was a login for hella shit and kept it. Yeah, I know what you mean. I use Facebook. Honestly, I use Facebook mainly just to keep up with people. Like, I use Facebook Messenger more than I use texting on my phone. I don't know how it ended up that way, but that's just what I do. I really want to hear some good news. Yeah, nothing really surprising or unexpected has happened yet. The only thing that is interesting right now is Virginia, which the media has not really been talking about, but it's very close. Currently, Kamala is leading. Outside of that, nothing surprising has really happened. There was maybe a little bit of hope that maybe Kamala could sneak away with Florida, but that didn't happen. John Ivory does sound like the name of a musician, yeah. Artist always, I don't think he doubts himself. I just think he's just got other things that he's doing now. Like I think his main gig right now is he works with video production, and he like manages some people for a local YouTube channel related to sports. And then he also does photography. Yeah, me and all of my family, or at least me and my brothers, we're all like very creative minded people. Like my other brother is a streamer. I enjoyed most of WandaVision. I like WandaVision a lot. I'm pretty biased when it comes to Marvel, so maybe I'm not the best person to talk about Marvel, because I generally like everything they make. There are a few things that I would say are pretty subpar, but generally most of the stuff they make is pretty good. But obviously certain things are better than other things. I think Agatha All Along is one of the best things they've made. It was so good. Sorry, I just got a text. Hold on, let me respond to this. My bad. I got a text from someone I haven't talked to in a long time, so yeah, I wanted to respond. Anyway, yeah, on rewatch, DP3 was okay. The story falls apart with any scrutiny. Yeah, but you know, to be fair, those movies are generally not really about the story. They usually just have like a basic story just to get things along. But I would say that Deadpool 3 is the worst of the 3 Deadpool movies. But I kind of appreciate what they were doing. Like, it was just basically kind of a tribute to 20th Century Fox and their superhero movies. So I feel that. So far, it's the same thing that happened in GA in 2020. Atlanta Metro takes a while to count compared to the rural area. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is that confirmed that they haven't counted? That we're waiting on Atlanta, basically? Because Atlanta probably is going to go blue, right? I wonder if Biden dropping out earlier would have given Harris more of a leg up. We barely got any time with her. Possibly. It also could have been detrimental. Because honestly, maybe learning more about Kamala Harris would have been bad for her. That's a little bit like mean to say, but I don't know. The final episode of Agatha left me kind of befuddled. I like how it ended. I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't watched it, but I thought it was a pretty good ending, especially when compared to almost every other Marvel show, they really have trouble ending their shows. I'm not sure why the endings are always so weird. That's why I think that Loki is the best thing that Marvel has made. It has easily the best ending out of all of the all of the shows. Such a great ending on Loki. My main problem was that the main linchpin to the first two movies was the relationship between him and his lady, and they just dropped that in the third one. Yeah, I guess they... Yeah, there's only so many things that they could cover, I guess. I think they really wanted to focus in on the superheroes and Fox and all that stuff, so I guess they didn't have time. I wouldn't be... they did talk about it a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just cut out a lot of it. I wonder if it's like in all of these states, if are we just waiting for the really densely populated districts or counties or whatever. I mean, this is all expected, but it is just still bizarre. It's still wild that Trump is still carrying all the states. It's like people are still voting for Trump. And it looks to be a pretty big turnout too. Wait, I want to see. The voter turnout, because the last two elections were like the biggest turnouts ever, right? Why don't we just answer the question? How many people voted? Okay, so Donald Trump got 74 million votes. Damn, I didn't realize. I forgot it was that high. He's got 47 million, so that's much less. Obviously, we're not done yet, but he's not going to reach 74 million. He's not going to double his votes. That's wild. Wait, so what was... Hold on. Yeah, so how many more votes are there to count? How many people live in California? Like 20 million? 38 million? And then how many people, what percentage of that is going to actually vote? I guess they could reach like 50 or 60 million, which would still be pretty high. It wouldn't top what the last election was crazy. Like, it had super high turnout. The turnout still seems to be pretty high. I was kind of afraid that the turnout was going to be low, but it still seems to be pretty high. They each have Like Trump has almost 50 million votes and Harris has 42 million. You had plenty of time with her. Most nations run whole elections in just 2 or 3 months. The U.S. corruption and bribery negotiations are what makes it take so long. Well, I wouldn't say we had plenty of time with her because I feel like a lot of people barely even know what her policies and plan are. You know, if you like really buckled down and did the research yourself, you could probably figure it out, but it's usually not necessary because they're like always on TV. I always like to make a conscious decision between best and favorite. For example, my favorite Star Wars movie is Empire, but the best is Rogue. I feel that. I do that also. But often best and favorite is the same for me. But I would say, like, for example, when we're talking about Marvel, Avengers 1 is by far one of my favorite Marvel movies. But I wouldn't say it's one of the best. I think it's good, but there are a lot that I think are just better from an objective standpoint. But that movie's so fun to watch. I've seen it the most times out of any Marvel movie. If it came out in theaters, I'd probably go see it again. I've been curious to see what DCU will be like. Seems like people just want something on par with the animated Justice League, but never ask if they deserve something on par with the animated Justice League. I think people deserve good DC movies. What did we do to deserve all these shitty DC movies? I don't know anything about Star Wars. Well, I've seen the first 6 Star Wars movies, and that's about it. I saw The Force Awakens, and I thought it was pretty blah, but I haven't seen any other Star Wars media after that. I kind of was like, you know what? I don't care anymore. I remember when The Mandalorian came out and everyone was raving about it, and I was like, maybe I'll watch that because people seem to think it's good, but I never did. And now there's been like 8 different shows since then, so I'm pretty behind when it comes to Star Wars. But I never like got the itch for Star Wars. I never was a Star Wars guy. I've seen when I watched the first 6 and I were like, first of all, I was like, after I saw the first 3, I was like, okay, I kind of get this. This is fine. A little cheesy, but you know, the special effects were amazing for its time. The universe is cool. I get it. Then the prequels came out, and I think I saw Phantom Menace, and I was like, I guess this is cool. But by the time I got to what's the third one called? I forgot. But it's bad. I feel like there's been this recent movement to justify the prequels, and I gotta say I don't agree. They're bad. I maintain that they're bad, especially the third one. And then I saw The Force Awakens, and it's better than the prequels, but it's also like it's like just as stupid as the original trilogy, except it doesn't have any of the charm of the original trilogy. You know what I mean? And then I just kind of stopped after that. Are you heading out? Well, thanks for stopping by. Where does Winter Soldier place on your MCU tier list? Winter Soldier is S tier for sure. Top 7 maybe. I mean, I literally made a tier list. I don't know if you follow me on Facebook. you may have seen it. But yeah, Winter Soldier is one of the best things for sure. It's S tier. I think most Marvel stuff is pretty good. There's a few that I think are just super good, like S tier. That's like Loki. I'd say Loki, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy, Winter Soldier. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 are both S tier. Winter Soldier. And I'd even put Infinity War up there. That movie's amazing. That's probably all of the ones I would say are just S tier, super good. Outside of that, most of it is good. There are a few that are kind of blah. Like I'd say Quantumania is pretty blah. Black Widow is blah. Iron Man 2 is blah. And then there's only two that I think are bad, and that's Iron Man 3 and Eternals. Those are the only ones that I would say are not good. Outside of that, they're all pretty watchable. In fact, I'd even say there are worse movies than Eternals, for sure. But it's just, I think it's a very messy movie. For people that enjoy Marvel Comics, if Trump wins, my prediction is that Hydra Captain America is going to make a comeback. I wonder if the election will... I mean, the election does kind of... probably will have some kind of impact on media and stuff like that. Are you kidding me? I get hating on the goofy stuff, but Mandalorian is great. I've never seen Mandalorian, so I can't hate on it. I do remember everyone raving about it. Iron Man 3 started off decent. I think pretty cool watching someone struggle with PSD. Yeah, I appreciate that Iron Man 3 tried to do something. I won't say that it didn't try to do something. Whether it achieved what it was trying to do is another question, though. What time is it? Oh, it's almost, the polls are about to close in California on the West Coast. I'm pretty sure California is going to be instantly called, like at like 10 on the dot. California is going to turn blue. I was hoping that we could get any of the swing states before I stop streaming, but that may not happen. Maybe we'll get Virginia. One Piece redoing Fishman Island is neat. I don't know anything about One Piece. Iron Man 3 is the best in the trilogy. Hard disagree, but that is the beauty of having your own opinion. I posted my Marvel tier list on Threads, and I had to delete it because all the comments were so negative and people were calling me the R word and stuff. So people definitely seem to have strong opinions on Marvel movies. What is the Senate? So far, the Senate results are not looking great for Democrats. Damn, the Democrats lost 3 seats already in the House, and they lost 1 seat in the Senate. RIP. It's not done though. It's not done. There's more to count. Iron Man 2 is very forgettable, but if you like watch it, it's still kind of fun to watch. And even Iron Man 3, like the final battle in Iron Man 3 is really cool, but there's a whole bunch of boring movie before it. Any anime I enjoy? I'm not an anime guy, really. I made a long post about anime on my community page on YouTube, if anybody saw that. But I don't really keep up with anime. When I was younger, I watched some anime, and most of it I didn't like, but there were some that I did like. I think Cowboy Bebop is a masterpiece. I got really into Naruto for a while. I never finished it though. Were there any others? Those are the only 2 that I can remember being really super into. There were some that I would watch like casually on like Toonami, but the only ones that I remember being really into were Naruto and Cowboy Bebop. And of course, I like Studio Ghibli films, if that counts. I like many of those. I guess I was into Dragon Ball Z. I barely count that because I was into Dragon Ball Z when I was like 12, and that was before I even understood what anime was. But yeah, I guess I was into it at some point in my life. Hello, new here. Really enjoyed your friend's video. Hope you're having a nice evening. I appreciate it. I'm doing well. It's a pretty stressful day, but could be worse. I do want to see these polls are about to close soon, so I want to see how that's going to change the situation. But I can tell you now that I would never watch Dragon Ball Z now. I don't think it's good, really. I think it's good if you're 12. I kind of appreciated the Dragon Ball Super. It's better paced, but it's still kind of the same kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not an anime guy. I'm just not the anime guy. I don't know. I wrote a long post about why I'm not an anime guy. If you're interested, you can just go to my YouTube community page. I actually haven't seen Nausicaa. That's one of the ones I haven't seen. Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know what? You know, I've never seen that show before. I think a lot of people find that surprising. It's like slightly after my time by just a couple of years. I mean, there's definitely people my age who watched it, but it wasn't like, by the time that show was on TV, I had kind of moved on to other things. But I would like to, that's kind of on my list of things that I want to check out, because I kind of feel like I would like it, because I feel like there are problems with anime, but when Western companies emulate anime, which I think is what Avatar: The Last Airbender is. I could be wrong. Maybe it is not a Western show, but when Western studios emulate anime, they usually do it better than the Japanese do, in my opinion. That might be a very Western centric thing to say, but I don't know. Anime is just weird. Yeah, I feel the same way about SpongeBob. I was a little bit too old for SpongeBob. I respect SpongeBob. I've seen a few episodes. But yeah, I'm not a huge SpongeBob guy, because I was just a little too old for it, you know? Now, if you want to talk about like Batman the Animated Series, you want to talk about X-Men 90s animated series, that was my shit. That's what I grew up with. You can even go a little bit after that. You want to talk about like Static Shock. You want to talk about like Ren and Stimpy. You want to talk about Doug. That's my generation. As predicted, they immediately called California and Washington for Harris. My little sister tried for 15 years to get me into Avatar. I finally got around to watching it a couple years ago, and she was right. It's freaking amazing. Yeah, that's one of those shows I don't think I have ever heard someone say that it's bad. Everyone loves it. So that's why it's on my list. But I'm really bad about actually following up on my list. Did I watch X-Men 97? I haven't watched it yet. I need to watch it. It's made for people like me. I've just been kind of lazy about it. My first Studio Ghibli movie, like many people, was Spirited Away, which I still think is just a mind-blowingly good movie. Like, I get chills when I think about Spirited Away. It's so good. But I love a lot of them. I really love My Neighbor Totoro. I love Castle in the Sky, Howl's Moving Castle, Mononoke. There's quite a few of them that I haven't seen though. I binged Lost for the first time. Saw the first season when it came out. Loved it. It's crazy good how Lost is for a show, and they clearly make it up as they went along. See, a lot of people have recommended that I watch Lost, but the way that people talk about it makes me think that I'm going to be annoyed by it, because I don't like, to some extent, I'm okay when things are cryptic or when things leave things up to the imagination. But I don't like when you don't give me closure for the weird shit that's happening on the show. And that's what it sounds like Lost does. And that's just going to be very frustrating to me if that happens. Like we talked about WandaVision earlier, that show's very weird and confusing. But by the end, you basically understand what happened. I need that. I need that closure. And it doesn't sound like Lost has that. Now, I haven't seen it, so I could be wrong, but that's the sense that I get. Even if it's like not what I expected, or even if it's not like good, at least just give me some closure. I'm not saying you have to explain every single thing, but there just has to be some kind of just set up what is happening. There should be an answer to the question, what is happening? It does, like, I don't need a whole bunch of exposition and shit. You know, like what's an example? Like in the movie A Quiet Place, if you ask what is happening, the answer is there's some aliens that can't see but they can hear. So if you make noise, they'll kill you. That's all I need to know. You don't have to tell me why the aliens are there. You don't have to tell me why they can't see. Just tell me what's happening. That's all. That's all. I don't know if you've mentioned this, but have you watched Scrubs? I've watched a decent amount of Scrubs. I haven't seen every single episode. It's a pretty good show. Closure is something I always struggle with, but I understand it's intentional in their storytelling. Is it intentional? Because a lot of people do make the meme that they're making it up as they go along, which I don't know if people are serious when they say that or if that is just the general consensus of what's happening on that show. But if they're making it up as they go along, then that means it's not intentional, right? Uh-oh, Trump took the lead in Pennsylvania. Or did... Oh, he had the lead in Pennsylvania already, did he? This map's starting to get filled up, y'all. $270 to win. This is not Pennsylvania's a big one. That's 19 votes. Jesus. So he needs what, like 50 something vote, or yeah, 50 something votes. He's about to win this. That's 10. About to win this. That's 11. So that's what? That's like, he's got like 20 more. 224. Man, it literally is going to come down to those swing states. That's crazy. I don't know why that's surprising to me, because that's what always happens. But it's like, man, it only matters in these states. This is stressful. I feel bad because I'm chat hopping. Yeah, honestly, I might end my stream here maybe in the next 30 minutes because I kind of doubt we're gonna get any like interesting news in the next like 2 hours. How many? Okay, so these don't matter that much. But yeah, I don't know. I might like hop off and relax and maybe watch some coverage myself. Or maybe just go to bed. Who knows? Just go to bed and wake up and see what happens. Who cares about the news? We're here for you. That's true, but I think the only reason that I haven't stopped streaming yet is just because I wanted to look at the map and talk about it, but that's fine. I appreciate it. Kamala only needs to beat Trump by 4% in the remaining Pennsylvania votes, which are primarily Philly and other urban areas. She's currently getting 78% of the vote in Philly. Yeah, I guess these blue districts are the ones that really need to be counted. Are you saying that basically, are you predicting that Kamala's going to win Pennsylvania? All right, Daniel, appreciate you stopping by the stream. I'm interested in Virginia. Am I tripping? Why is nobody talking about Virginia? This is a big deal to me. It's so close. You see how like some of these, I don't know if you can read it, it's pretty small, but like some of these are, it says key race. This one says key race, Pennsylvania, Nevada, key race. Virginia does not say key race. That's 13 votes. That's a lot of votes. Why is this not a key race? Was it just expected to go to Trump? I mean, or maybe the exit polls are showing something that we're not seeing. Not that I'm following the news or anything, but maybe they're talking about it. Not confident, but I'm optimistic. Word, I feel you. Have I seen Severance? I have seen a couple of episodes of that, and I loved it. I don't have Apple TV, so I haven't watched it, but I really want to watch it, so I may get Apple TV just to watch it, because it's really good. I love shit like that. I like weird psychological thrillers, stuff like that. And I like weird dystopian things like that. I'm really interested in stuff like that. You got good questions about Virginia? Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't consider myself like very politically informed right now, so I may just be missing something, but I could see if this was like 3 electoral votes or something, but it's 13. I feel like that's a decent amount. That's more than some of these, I think. Yeah, it's more than Nevada. He's only leading by 100,000 in Georgia, with the blue making Savannah and Atlanta area still not counted. Yeah, maybe I should. Earlier I was like, it looks like he's gonna get Georgia, but maybe I shouldn't call these things early. And I guess that's why they haven't called it, because you never know. Weird dystopian often doesn't have closure. That's totally true. I agree. And that's disappointing when it happens. That's why it's like, I think I would like Lost, but I think I would get to the end and be disappointed, based on what I've heard. But the thing about Severance, at least, I've only seen a couple episodes, so I really don't know what happens. But they tell you, like, you kind of know what's going on from the beginning, right? But I don't know, maybe the story gets weird. I mean, it probably does get weird since that's the type of show it is, but you know. I wanna write like a dystopian story. I think that kind of stuff is really interesting. Silo? I haven't seen Silo. Also check out Scavenger's Reign. I don't know what that is either. There's definitely a lot of stuff that I haven't seen. Oh, that's a animated show. Is that an anime? There's so much shit out there to watch, man. There's too much content. So much red on that map. It looks like a Kool-Aid bowl. Yeah, that's how it usually is, though. You got the South. The South is just such a big part of the country geographically. And then you have what do you even call this part of the country? With like Montana and the Dakotas and Wyoming. Just the South and that part alone is just like 50% of the United States in terms of like area. HBO exclusive. Yeah, Max is another one of the streaming services that I don't have. I don't. The only like Max show that I really watched was Harley Quinn. Great show, by the way. But there's a lot of stuff on there I want to see. I want to see what's that one? Doom Patrol. That looked really cool, and a lot of people told me that it was really good and kind of slept on. I haven't been this disappointed since I watched the Yankees choke the World Series away. I don't know shit about baseball. It seems like it's like not hip to be a Yankees fan though. But I'm an Alabama fan, and I think a lot of people think that's cringe, so. I feel like I have more because I'm self-employed. I think I have more flexibility in my time than other people. Yet I don't know how people keep up with all these shows and all this media and all this content. It just like stresses me out even thinking of trying to keep up with all this stuff. But a lot of people like just watch, they just sit and watch stuff every day. Wait, what did they just give to Trump? Arizona? Whoops. What is your Criterion collection? What is that? What do you mean by that? I used to live in Talladega before I came to Georgia. College football is just another world in that state. You are absolutely right. I mean, college football is just kind of all we have here. As far as sports go, because there's no NFL team, no NBA team. So we do college football. And also Alabama, was the most dominant team ever for like 20 years. So that's part of it as well. Also, Alabama has a rival, Auburn, and it's like one of the fiercest rivalries in all of sports. And that's part of it as well. And I went to the University of Alabama, so I've been a fan even before Alabama was good. No one can accuse me of being a bandwagon fan, but I'm a fan of the team. My brother actually went to Talladega for a little while, the school, Talladega University. Roll Tide indeed. Or I have to roll tide. I have to use my southern accent when I say that. Roll Tide. Well, I think I might go ahead and just end the stream. I mainly just kind of wanted to get on here and decompress a little bit. It's a big day, and it's a stressful day. I was hoping something interesting would happen on the map in the 3 hours or so after the polls closed, but nothing really interesting happened. Currently, the Virginia thing is the thing that's interesting to me, but we probably won't get the results for that for a while either. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I just wanted to kind of like talk to some people, and I don't really have anyone around here at the moment. All of my friends are kind of like hiding under their covers and just hoping for the best. So I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Be on the lookout for my new video. Should be coming out, I don't know, maybe next week. I'm gonna shoot for next week. Mac and cheese was all right, just all right, not super good. But yeah, hopefully we don't get the bad outcome. But even if we do, I think it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be worse, but I think we'll make it. Did they just call something for Harris? Her score just went up. What did they give her? I didn't see anything change, but I saw the score would go up. Maybe they just didn't update it. Anyway. All right. Yeah, I guess that's it. If you want to like chat, you can hit up my Discord. I'll probably be around. I'm not gonna be like just chilling on there all night, but you can talk to other people there as well. I'll drop the link if I can. How do you do this? And of course, there's plenty of other people streaming if you just want to hang out. So I'm sure if you go to your YouTube subscription list, you can find some other people to chill with. But I'm gonna probably go eat some food and relax until I pass out. So, thanks again, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.